Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and for the last week I've been driving the 2025 Ford Bronco Stroppe Edition. Up front is a 2.7 liter twin turbo V6, and down below is a 10-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be making this video here today because I've spent the last week driving the Stroppe Edition of the Bronco. This is a special edition vehicle. It was only for the 2025 model year, and we'll get into specifics here in a little bit, but I'm excited to share with you this rare version of the Ford Bronco. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 2.7 liter turbocharged V6 under the hood. Well, the Stroppe Edition is the only way you could have gotten the turbo V6 in the two-door Bronco for the 2025 model year. They offered it in a couple different trims in 24 and 23, but for 25, the Stroppe Edition was the only way. It makes 330 horsepower, which is up 30 horsepower from the 4-cylinder turbo. So you do get a nice bump in horsepower, as well as a pretty decent bump in download torque, which is very nice. This is an absolute powerhouse and has been so fun. Paired with the short wheelbase, it has been just a blast to have that turbo V6. Like I said, paired to it is a 10-speed automatic transmission. With the 4-cylinder in non-Stroppe trim levels, you can get it in a 7-speed manual. This is only available with the 10-speed. I like it, it does the job, and I don't have any complaints. Last but not least, of course, the Bronco is 4-wheel drive. How does it feel to drive the Ford Bronco Stroppe Edition? Well, it's a little off the rails. Paired with that short wheelbase, big turbo V6, the Sasquatch package wheels and tires, it gets kind of rowdy, it gets kind of squirrely, and I honestly had as much, if not maybe a touch more fun driving this than I did the Bronco Raptor. Because that short wheelbase is just a little guy. This whole week I kept calling it my snub-nosed Bronco, and that's really how it feels. Now, on the flip side of that, commuting on the highway is not great. You need a lot of steering input just to go straight. You sort of start to get that covered wagon with a motor effect like you get in Wranglers and old International Scouts and old Broncos. So it's true to form. You know, it drives kind of like an old Bronco, but if I'm paying 77 grand, do I want it to drive like that every day? It's up for debate. Visibility is pretty good. The ride quality is actually pretty decent because this does have the Haas 3.0 system from Ford, which is basically 2.5-inch Fox internal bypass dampers. So that is available on the Badlands trim, but it is standard here on the Stroppe Edition and helps soften up, give more off-road ready suspension to the Bronco. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a completely digital gauge cluster. Ford is really good about giving you tons and tons of information in these gauge clusters. I'll try to cycle through as much as I possibly can. I like it a lot. It's clear, it's easy to read. I can get everything I want right in front of me, and that's what's important. On the steering wheel, on the left, we do have our adaptive cruise as well as volume, and off the right, we have the selectors for that gauge cluster screen, as well as voice commands and skip track. Off to the left, we do have a grab handle, as well as our headlight switch and gauge dimmer switch, along with our mirror lights. And then moving on to the door, we have lock and unlock and the latch to get in and out, but that's it. We have a grab handle and a little storage pocket, but no window switches found over here. Moving into the center, up at the very top, we have two USB-Cs, as well as a little location to screw in a camera or a radar detector or any sort of accessory. So you have that built into the dash, which is sweet. Then we have a nice row of buttons. We have our sway bar disconnect. We have our front and rear differential lock, our trail turn, traction control off, and hazard switch. Then we get our giant 12-inch infotainment display. This is Ford's Sync system, has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It works really well. It is also piped out to a 12-speaker B&O sound system. That is one of the upgrades here for the Stroppe Edition, as well as it does get a 360 camera. So all the fixings found there in the infotainment for the Stroppe. Down below that, we do have some physical buttons for our volume and tune, camera button, button, auto start stop on and off, parking sensor, skip track, things like that. And then we have our physical climate controls. We do get dual zone climate here in the Stroppe edition. Very nice to see that. We also get heated seats, another really nice amenity found in the Stroppe. And it's all physical. I like that it's not hidden in the screen. I think it works very, very well. Then we do get a USB-A as well as USB-C with the cubby down below. And we get this awesome Bronco Stroppe Edition badge. I love the 60s font on it. I love this nice little touch. And I think these are going to be somewhat collectible. You know, in 20, 30 years when these are in junkyards, I think people are going to start collecting these little badges because the Bronco Raptor has a special one. This has a special one. Things like that. Off to the left, we do have the shifter. Very plain Jane, normal shifter, no notes there. And then we have our four-wheel drive modes as well as our GOAT modes. So I will cycle through the GOAT modes here. We have slippery and off-road and trail and things like that. This is really, really nice. I've been driving it mostly in slippery because it has been slippery. And so that keeps it in four-wheel drive automatic, which is very, very nice that it has automatic four-wheel drive, which it'll slip in and out of two-wheel drive as needed. Off to the right of that, we do have cup holders. We'll do a big freaking bottle test. It fails, and no one is surprised. Then we do get our power windows and power mirrors sort of tucked up onto the center console, and we have the center console itself. Then we have the seats. The seats are heated, and that's about it. They are manual seats. Now I get it, Bronco, hardcore off-roader, things like that, but for $77,000, trying to manually adjust my own seat is a little embarrassing. So I'm not a big fan of that, per se. Chance, but that's the reality that I'm currently living in. However, speaking of seats, unfortunately for me, we do have back seats, even though it's the two-door. So let's go do a back seat review. All right, getting in the back of the Stroppe Bronco, two-door more importantly. So we do have a handle down here that brings us forward, handle up here that will help it slide forward. I gotta move some of my crap. Oh, this is in the way. Interesting. So Ford actually gave me like a little bucket for things. It's Bronco branded, kind of cool, but that actually makes it so the front seat doesn't go forward. Oh, kind of crappy placement. Anyway, these are also non-stick side panels, which is really great. But getting in the back as I moon a neighborhood. Ugh. All right, once we are back here, we can attach MOLLE straps and maximum weight of 7 pounds on the back of that seat. Very, very cool. We do get the hard top, the removable hard top up here. You could pull all of these. I'm not gonna do it because it's freezing here today, but we do get back seats. We have little cup holders, things like that. And I'm in the back of the two-door Bronco. Is this the most comfortable experience in the world? No, not even close. Not a very good experience at all. But it has back seats. It is the two-door. This is true to form. If you like the older Broncos, this is the more modern interpretation because they never had older four-doors. So I like that quite a bit. It's not an awful place to be, but it's definitely not my first pick either. So let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, around the back of the Stroppe Bronco, we have our sliding door out like this, and then we can pull this rear glass up. Not a whole lot of cargo space. I do feel like the four-door has also more cargo space than the two-door, but that's okay. We do get a 12-volt outlet over here, and we get a little Bronco light, which is very nice to see. These little tie-downs, which have pictures of lassos on them, I've always enjoyed that little Easter egg. Typical back area of a Bronco, no matter if it's a Stroppe edition or not. So let that back down, slide that closed, and there you go. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I, of course, adore the look of this. The Stroppe is one of the loudest colored Broncos you can buy from the factory. This is code orange over Oxford white with an Atlas blue top and matte black accents. Now the hood is matte black to cut down on glare. When glossy paint is on the hood, it can bounce the sun's rays right into your retinas. This tries to cut down on that. It's a very 1960s style of paint job to try to get that edge on the competition. If you look at the old Ford Rancheros that were racing as well, they did black hoods. The Bronco Stroppe that Bill Stroppe built had black hoods. So very, very cool. Kind of an old school style way of doing things. This also does get the Sasquatch package from the factory with the Stroppe edition, so you get the bigger wheels and tires, bumpers, things like that. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Bronco Stroppe edition for the last week? Well, I have truly enjoyed my experience here. I love driving it, not on the highway, not as a daily driver, not as a commuter car. That's pretty terrible. But driving it around town, putting your foot into it, spooling that turbo V6, I love. It's sort of goofy. It's a very silly automobile, and I like that. It's very jolly. It looks cool. Signed, sealed, and sent. I like that. The issue I have is the price tag. $77,000. Now, I get it. It's a special edition, for sure, 100%. However, you don't get that much for that increased price tag. Yes, you get the Sasquatch package and the speaker system and all of that, but you can get the suspension on the Badlands trim if you want it. You can get the Sasquatch package on other trim levels. You can get the 12-inch display. You can get the B&O sound system. And so when you look at this, you peel back the curtain, you could do this for a lot more affordable number than $77,000. However, this also bleeds into the bean soup theory. Now, the bean soup theory has grown in popularity online the last year or so. Basically, there's a TikTok post or Reddit post, I forget what it was, but someone posted a recipe for bean soup. It was broth and beans. And someone commented, "What if I don't like beans?" And it's just this overarching idea of maybe not everything is for you. If you don't like beans, don't look up the bean soup recipe. Maybe the bean soup recipe just isn't for you. That's how I feel about this. I would not buy this. I would not spend my money on the Bronco Stroppe edition. I would not pay $77,000 for it. But there might be someone who idolized Bill Stroppe, who knew him personally, and now they're ready for a daily driver. They're ready for something fun to drive out into Arizona. They made these in very limited numbers, so it's not really made for you and me. This is meant to be a collector's item. This is meant to roll across the Mecum stage 30 years from now with low mileage and garner a fair amount of coin. This Bronco's meant to be driven by a super fan, an absolute Baja 1000 mega fan. They've never missed a race. They plan their whole yearly schedule. If you get married the weekend of the Baja 1000, sorry, I'm not going. That sort of person. That's what this car is meant for. Do I find value? Do I find $77,000 worth of value in here? To me, no, I don't. I truly don't. So to me, and to you probably, the value isn't really there. But that's okay. It doesn't have to be. It's a very fun, very unique Bronco. And anytime you see one in traffic, you're going to say, hey, that's a Stroppe edition. That's kind of neat, and I like that factor. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Ford for letting me borrow their Stroppe edition Bronco for the last week. Huge thank you to G. Schmitz for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of this vehicle. And of course, the Midwest Automotive Media Association. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.